Hey guys, how's it going? Hobo Yeti here. And today we're going to break down what I believe are the top 10 survival skills you're going to need to make it. Whether you're lost in the wild, the world falls apart, SHTF, or you're just living rough by choice. Now, let me say this loud and clear. Gear is not the key to survival. I mean, don't get me wrong, gear helps, but it's only as good as the one using it. It's kind of like having a master guitar player picking up a busted old six-string, with a couple of missing strings and a hole in its body, and still making music that'll stop you in your tracks. Meanwhile, a newbie with $1,000 rig, he might only know how to strum 3 chords and play Wonderwall, Survival is no different. The real skills, they live in your head, your hands, and your instincts, not in your backpack. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And I apologize about the sounds out and about everywhere. It's driving me crazy, but nothing I can do. So number 1, situational awareness. So the most important survival skill is something you can't buy, paying attention. Whether you're in a city, a forest, or a campsite, your safety starts with knowing what's around you, listening to the wind, noticing animal behavior, watching people, feeling the vibe shift. Your gut is your first alarm system, so go ahead and trust it. It's why I'm always moving my head around when I'm doing these videos. I can only hear out of my left ear, so if I hear something kind of out of my right, I got to turn my entire head, and I'm just always listening to what's around me. Number 2, swimming. So water's everywhere. It doesn't matter how tough you are. If you fall in the river or you're caught in floodwaters and you can't swim, you're done. Swimming saves lives, okay? Get comfortable in the water. It might be the difference between living and drowning. When I was in Florida, I grew up in Florida as a kid, and the first thing we learned when we got near the water is how to float on your back. And, and then from there we learned swimming, because you could always turn over and float on your back from there. It saved me a good couple years later when a couple of my buddies and me decided to go get drunk and go swimming. Just learn how to float. And because you may be fording a river or a creek or something like that, and you lose your footing and you fall down, it's just going to help you. Number 3 is first aid, knowing how to stop bleeding, clean a wound, or splint a limb. That's real survival. Most people who die in survival scenarios die from injuries or infections, not wild animals. You don't need to be a doctor. You just need to know the basics and have, the mindset to stay calm under pressure. For me, I'm terrible at this, but it's still up there. My way of handling this is sort of has the prepper mindset, and that, I carry like antihistamines, alcohol, iodine, wipes, mentholated stuff. I carry antibiotic ointments just for the stuff I'm likely going to encounter. I also have Liku tape and, bandanas if I need to use them. So just having that is not as, I'm kind of living the hobo lifestyle, so I don't really need to, if worse comes to worse, I can just flag down a car. But I'd be pretty hosed in a SHTF scenario. Number 4, navigation. So using the maps, tree line, sun, stars. So the GPS is not always going to be there. Batteries die, tech fails. You got to learn how to find your direction using the tree line, sun, stars, and how to read a paper map if you've got one. Orientation is freedom. Without it, you're just wandering. A lot of people think that, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. That's not necessarily the case. That happens on the equinoxes, but the rest of the time it's kind of a variant. And here in the Pacific Northwest, moss grows on all sides of the tree. It grows everywhere. There's no east side, west side that doesn't have moss. No way. Basically, the way to, if it's not a sunny day, put a stick in the ground, try to figure out if there's a shadow there, and that will let you know what's east and west ish. Like I said, the sun's not going to be directly east and west. So anyway, number 5, processing and storing game, storing meats. So hunting is great, but can you process the animal, store the meat, and use every part? I don't know many people that can, but know how to gut, skin, smoke, and preserve meat. Storing is just important, keeping the bugs off it, putting it in a brine and smoking it, and just like storing it for long-term use, making it a jerky, whatever you've got to do. Wasting food is a luxury you won't have out there. And rationing is also part of that. If you've only got a little bit, unless you have a guaranteed food source coming up, especially in the winter, ration your provisions. Excuse me. Number 6, water filtration from nature. So you need clean water more than you need food. Learn how to make a natural water filter using like sand, charcoal, and grass, and how to boil or purify water. And don't just make it, know how to test it. One slip and you're sick, dehydrated, and in danger. Like if you got like a brackish water, has some salt in it, you don't want that. Also learn where to find water, animal trails, low ground, tree roots, even in old buildings in a SHTF scenario. Water's out there, you just have to know where to look. If it's, in the Pacific Northwest, it's pretty easy. There's always puddles and things, and you can set up some sort of trash bag or tarp situation and collect rainwater. It rains 9 months out of the year. Not really an issue here. Number 7, edible plants, food gathering, and scavenging. So Mother Nature feeds those who know what to look for. Learn local edible plants, how to forage, and even how to scavenge wisely from the man-made world. A good place to start, just pick 5 wild plants in your area that are edible and safe, and know them well. Calories are fuel. Survival is a scavenger's game. Here in the Pacific Northwest, in, I'd say, August and September, blackberries are everywhere, and they're just awesome, The other thing I'd like to mention at this point, and, there are places in the U.S. that you can go miles and miles without encountering another human being. West Texas, North Dakota, but like, as we've seen from the Alone show that everybody likes, I'm one of the fans, do a search on Google Maps and type and do a search for restaurants on Vancouver Island. You're going to find those suckers all around the coast there and inland, and you're going to find hotels there. So even though, the idea is that there's this untouched winter wonderland or forest wilderness wonderland, it's actually pretty built up. So a lot of times you can gather food gathering by scavenging. So keep that in mind. Number 8, shelter, something that's going to be quick, warm, and protective. When the weather turns or the night drops cold, a good shelter keeps you alive. Learn how to build quick, tight, heat-holding shelters with whatever's around. Branches, tarps, junk, make it work. And it doesn't have to be pretty. Even an overhanging log or a slanted piece of plywood can shield you from the wind and rain. Heat and protection first, comfort later. For me, it's always a tent. Even when I've not been homeless, anytime I travel around, I carry a go bag, and that go bag is going to include a camping pad to keep me off the ground, a tent, and a tarp and or rain fly anyway, and like one of those 50-degree bags, the lightweight ones that are real small. That works for me, and then I can, if I can have those items, then even if it gets much colder, I can figure it out, But it's going to protect me from most. It's going to protect me from most weather environments. Number 9, clothing. Learn how to create, mend, or adapt them. So you're not always going to have new gear. Know how to repair what you wear, repurpose material, and make insulation out of stuff you found. You can use plastic bags, cardboard, or any scavenged material to throw together a quick layer to keep warm and dry. I mean, it's not fashion, but function will do. My favorite piece of gear for mending clothing, I have needle and thread and all that good stuff, especially good for long-term repairs for the tent and clothing. But Duct tape. That's the best. You know, I've seen people make clothing out of duct tape. My buddy, he would take like carpet foam that he'd find in a dumpster or something and use duct tape and just make a good pair of winter like Sorel boots, you know. So good stuff there. Number 10, self-defense, people and animals. So not all threats come with fur and fangs. Be ready to defend yourself from animals and people. This doesn't always mean you're going to be fighting. It means being smart, staying unpredictable, and knowing when to stand your ground and disappear. My preferred method of defense, you know, I don't have a weapon. I don't carry a piece. I don't carry a pistol or anything. But I always have a good cane or walking stick, a stout walking stick. You can always use rocks for a weapon. You know, basically my goal is to keep distance, whether it's with animals, with people. Stay away from me, and in that is safety for me. So, in the end, survival is about your mindset and not, you know, your mindset and skill, not just gear. If you've got these 10 skills, you've already ahead of most of so-called preppers with garages full of gadgets. Flexibility and being able to change and to adapt is key here. So if I gave you something to chew on, hit, you know, the like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what's a good survival skill you think gets overlooked. I hope your road's a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. Peace out.